Chicago Fire Season 13 ending explained. A close call for Pascal heats up tensions. The Chicago Fire Season 13's penultimate episode. The bad guy opened the door for the changes we have been anticipating for months on the show, heading into its 14th season. The shocking entry saw Pascal, Dermot Mulroney, taken in for the attempted murder of Robert Franklin, Matthew Collins, the man who inadvertently killed his wife, and potentially taking Severide, Taylor Kinney, down with him. The bad guy framed Pascal's exit as clearing the way for Herman, David Aikenberg, to become chief of Firehouse 51, Severide and Kid, Miranda Ray Mayo, to take in Natalie, Ava Torres, and Violet, Hanako Greensmith, to potentially leave to be with Carver, Jake Lockett. The Season 13 finale, it had to end this way, turns all of that upside down, a legitimately surprising finale that eases the chaos heading into next year. The Chicago Fire Season 13 finale clears up the chief conundrum. The finale picks up moments after the bad guy, with Chief Pascal being questioned by the police. He's not under arrest yet, but there's a mountain of evidence against him and little in the way of defense. He's going to need a good lawyer. Too bad Chicago justice died so quickly. As that proceeds, Van Meter, Tim Hopper, confronts Severide about not disclosing what he knew about Pascal, and makes it clear that if Pascal goes down, he's going down with him, which his glare at the end of The Bad Guy pretty much made clear. After their respective dressing downs, Severide tells Pascal that he may have a witness in Lieutenant Vale, Phil Donlin, but it won't be enough. They need more. Severide goes to see Bishop Keith Kupferer, in prison, the former captain of the Illinois State Troopers, that Severide got put away, with a little help from Pascal. Bishop has had a change of heart about Pascal. He still loathes him, but doesn't believe he had anything to do with Franklin's accident, and believes Hendricks framed him. Severide pushes Bishop to admit he called Hendricks after being put away, and suggests that if he cooperates, Severide might be able to get him a deal. Bishop buys in and offers up the information, which Severide hopes can be used to find something that clears Pascal. There's nothing. In fact, Hendricks hasn't made a call in months as he's dealing with cancer, which means that it's improbable he had anything to do with the incident. Pascal picks up Monica's phone, which he hasn't looked at in ages, and notices something. At the same time, Van Meter tells Severide that the case is what it is. A firefighter did the job, and Pascal was the only one with a motive. That triggers a revelation for Severide, who says that maybe they're looking at the wrong firefighter. What Pascal saw were dozens of texts to Monica, Katie Strickland, from Vale, texts which confirmed he had an obsession with her, and when confronted, Vale tells Pascal that he did what Pascal didn't have the courage to do himself: kill Franklin in retribution. The police arrive to arrest Vale, after Severide finds the evidence that clears Pascal, and he's back as chief. With Pascal cleared and back at his post, that puts an end to the presumption that Herman would take over as the Firehouse 51 chief. So does he still take the chief's test and get transferred? Or is that tension between him and Pascal heating up heading into Season 14? As it turns out, neither. Herman has always been hesitant about the chief position, and the pressure to take on the responsibility isn't one he seemed to welcome. So the fan-favorite character finally makes a definitive stand and declines to pursue the chief position. Not only that, but he's also decided to step down from the lieutenant position, taking the demotion and clearing the path for his longtime friend Mouch, Christian Stolt, to step in. It may not be the most popular, but it is the right decision for the show. Herman never wanted the responsibility. He's always made it clear he wants to be on the front lines, fighting alongside the team, rather than watching from afar. Mouch wants that responsibility. He assumed the only way to get it was for Herman to move up. But this way, he becomes a lieutenant, while Herman gets what he wants. What will be interesting is how Mouch and Pascal get along moving forward, with that dynamic one to watch next season. Violet, meanwhile, gives Carver, who is back after a 2-episode absence, the letter she wrote him, which lays out her feelings for him. The next day, Violet asks why he hasn't said anything about the letter, only for him to reveal that he's leaving Chicago. Ah, there's the exit plan, having put in an application with the Denver Fire Department. It's become too hard to maintain his sobriety here, and a change of scenery is necessary for him to maintain it. Okay, so that effectively ends the relationship there. Or does it? In the closing moments, Carver shows up at Violet's door, and they share a deep kiss, throwing out "I love you" phrases like they were candy. That explains Carver's absence for next year. Still nothing about how Daniel Keary's Ritter exits the show, but does strengthen the possibility of Violet going with him. That leaves Kid and Natalie. It seemed like a foregone conclusion that Kid and Severide would be taking Natalie in at the end of The Bad Guy. But it had to end this way puts a fascinating spin on that. Natalie's sister Julia, Erica Mendez, never wanted to abandon her sister, but the weight of trying to raise Natalie while keeping her own life on track is simply too much. Kid assures Julia that her intent was never to take Natalie away from her. Cue the curveball, as Kid doesn't just offer to take Natalie in, but Julia as well, bringing the number of people in the home from 2 to 5. No, it's not bad math. One narrative that will be a primary focus in Chicago Fire's Season 14 is that 5th, with the news that a Stellaride baby is coming. Not only is that exciting news, but it also means that next fall we'll see 2 of the One Chicago shows have a pregnancy storyline, the other being Dr. Asher's, Jesse Schramm, on Chicago Med. Step it up, Burzek. The latest episode of Chicago Fire delivered a blistering mix of danger, emotion, and unspoken truths, culminating in an explosive ending that has fans buzzing. The spotlight. Pascal, the green but gutsy new firefighter, whose recent close call didn't just rattle the house. It ignited tensions that had been quietly simmering beneath the surface. Pascal's leap of faith. The final 10 minutes of the episode thrust Pascal into the heart of a burning warehouse, flames curling around twisted steel and falling beams. While veterans like Severide and Kid have danced with death many times before, Pascal's entry into the inferno felt different, not just because of his inexperience, but because of the instinct that drove him forward. The scene begins with Squad 3 navigating the collapsing structure in search of trapped workers. Most of the team was already retreating due to a sudden structural shift, but Pascal heard a faint voice. Someone's still alive, and made the call. Against orders, he surged ahead. For a heartbeat, time slowed. The audience could feel the heat, the desperation, and the heavy consequence of Pascal's split-second decision. He found the victim, barely conscious and pinned by a steel beam. Radioing for backup, Pascal stayed with the man, using a Halligan to leverage the beam just enough to free him. But in doing so, debris came down around them both, pinning Pascal's leg and cutting off his comms. The rescue of both men was dramatic, spearheaded by Severide, whose mixture of frustration and pride painted a conflicted picture as he pulled Pascal out. Ripples through Firehouse 51. Back at Firehouse 51, Pascal's close call doesn't end with his release from the hospital. Instead, it becomes the spark that ignites a series of emotional confrontations. Stella Kid is the first to voice concern, though it comes from a place of care. In a quiet moment in the locker room, she tells Pascal that being brave isn't the same as being reckless. There's no valor in getting yourself killed, she says. Pascal, nursing a sprained ankle and a bruised ego, quietly admits he thought he was doing the right thing. Kid's tone softens, but the message is clear. Lives, including your own, depend on teamwork, not heroics. Severide, meanwhile, is less forgiving. In the briefing room, his anger flashes. You disobeyed a direct order. We don't need cowboys, Pascal, we need firefighters who come home. Yet even in his reprimand, there's a glimmer of recognition. Severide sees a bit of himself in Pascal, passionate, instinct-driven, willing to risk it all. It's a dangerous mirror. Chief Bowden's verdict. The real tension, though, boils down to Chief Bowden. Known for his wisdom and balance, Bowden calls Pascal into his office alone. The moment is quiet, but weighty. What you did saved a life, Bowden says, but it almost cost 2 more. Pascal braces for disciplinary action, but Bowden, in a masterful move, opts for mentorship over punishment. He assigns Pascal to extra training shifts with Severide and Kid, with a clear warning. Next time, your instincts better be backed up by experience.